Guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry about that. I'm literally cracking my bones. I always have this weird sensation in my shoulder where I always feel the need to crack it, but it doesn't always come. Right. So as you can see from the title, I'm so excited to do this video. As you can see, I'm already smiling. I'm a little bit nervous to do it, but I'm also excited because I feel like it's a topic to be discussed, to be talked about, right? So as you can see from the title, Signs of a Toxic Man. So for this video, I haven't made any notes. So I'm just going to be going off whatever comes to mind, right? And I just feel like it's a topic that we need to discuss because, as you know, there's so much toxicity in this world. And it's nice to just put focus on like at least one gender. How are you doing, Honey Brown? Hi. Hi, Ruby and Barbara. Am I saying your name correct? Thank you for joining my live. I've never spoken to you before. So welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. So I feel like this is a topic to be had because it's good to focus on a gender, right? It's easy to talk about toxic people in general, but it's more exciting to talk about like at least one gender. I definitely would love to do this topic on women as well, but for today it's going to be about men, so the toxic signs of a man. And I believe that this video could help somebody out there as well. So if you may notice that there are some signs that you actually do um display to the world, just know that it's okay and you can change. Like everyone can change, right? So I believe that everybody has toxic traits. I have toxic traits. So many of us have toxic traits because remember, every single day we're communicating with different people. So just because I'm nice to one person, it doesn't mean I'm going to be nice to the next person. You know, everyone treats people differently. And this is why I believe everyone can have toxic traits. And it's more deeper than that. It can be more spiritual than that. If somebody is a magnet and they're attracting toxicity into their lives, everyone that they come into contact with will eventually start treating them in a toxic way, even though they don't wish to do that or they don't mean any harm by it. You know, sometimes we behave in ways that we don't have control over. You know, have you ever been in a situation where you're talking to someone and then you start throwing insults at them like a joke? That may be because that person has been bullied before and they're just attracting it over and over again. This is why I said that we all can be toxic. Thank you so much for the like on the video, guys. Um, that's why I believe that we can all have toxic traits. So let's just dive into the video. So if you are a male or if you are a female watching this, females are welcome to watch this. If you see these signs in someone, just know that there's always room for improvement. We can all grow and change, right? And just because I may describe the toxic trait of this person or whoever feels like it's coming towards them, just know that it doesn't mean that you are toxic. It could just mean that you have hints of toxicity, but you could be a healthy person overall. Do you get what I'm saying? So everyone can have toxic traits, but it doesn't mean that they're toxic. You just may have hints of it, but you could be mentally healthy, you could treat people well, but you know, you just may have small glimpses of toxicity, which is fine. um it's not fine if you are causing harm. So if you look at the word toxic, it's when you're, you know, unpleasant, you're causing harm to others, your behavior is upsetting others. And sometimes some people become toxic because of stress, because of trauma. They may have underlying issues that they haven't dealt with, and it just keeps spilling out onto everyone that they come into contact with. And they don't realize they're doing it sometimes. Sometimes they don't even know. And, you know, if we don't heal, how can we get better as people? So if we don't heal, we're going to keep repeating the same patterns, recreating the same relationships with so many people that we come into contact with. So let's dive into this topic, guys. So I don't know what to start off with, but there's toxic signs of a man, right? Let's talk boundaries. Boundaries is a big one. So when people set boundaries, it's for a reason. They don't want it to be crossed. There's a line they've put across, like don't cross this boundary, right? And I find that a toxic man doesn't respect boundaries. So it's toxic when if someone set a boundary and they're saying no and you're still crossing that boundary, you're not respecting their wishes, you're just doing what you want regardless. That's toxic, because boundaries are there for a reason and people do have to put walls up to protect themselves. And if you're crossing the boundary, if you're saying or doing something that somebody doesn't want you to do, you're toxic. Simple as that. You have to respect people. You can't think about yourself. You have to respect people's wishes. If someone says something, they're not just saying it as a joke, they're saying it for a reason. So you have to respect that. So that's number one. I mean, putting it in order doesn't mean that's the level of how toxic a person is. I'm just saying it in any order. But if you don't respect people's boundaries, that's wrong. And if you guys want me to go into more explanation about boundaries, I can do that throughout this video. But let's go into the next point. My mind has gone blank, can you believe? I believe a man is toxic if he swears at a female. Or swearing in general is bad, but as a female, if a man is swearing directly to me in an aggressive way, that's toxic. Because if I haven't sworn at you, why are you swearing at me? If I'm speaking to you in a nice tone and you're coming to me all aggressive because you're mad and you want to show your aggression towards me, that's toxic. You know, as men, you are supposed to protect women, children, and keep everyone safe. So if you are displaying this toxic behavior and showing your aggression and trying to show people, you know, this is me and I'm going to swear at you because I can do whatever I want, you're also crossing a boundary and you're also showing disrespect. And I understand that in this world, some people, what's toxic to me may not be toxic to other people, because there may be some people that do like that treatment. They may like men talking to them in that tone. So it's not toxic to them. They may come from a culture where it's okay to swear at each other. So again, toxic behavior varies amongst different people. Some people tolerate it, some people don't. Some people don't speak up, some people don't know how to set boundaries. But to me, if you're swearing at me, another female, or somebody else that doesn't like that kind of language directed towards them, that's toxic, and it can come across as aggressive. Let me think of another point. Another toxic trait of a man is when they throw insults. Throwing insults directly to a woman or to anyone else. Throwing insults is wrong, it's abusive. And if you feel like rejection, if you're getting rejected, for example, I understand people that get rejected if it's a sensitive topic, because some people don't like rejection, which I understand. I'm the same, I don't like rejection. But if you feel like that's the time to throw insults at a woman or anybody else because they've rejected you, that's toxic. Accept the rejection and move on. We don't always get our way. Toxic people need to understand you don't always get your way. You can't always have things the way you want it to or how you've planned in your head. And when you've thrown insults at someone, you cannot take it back. You cannot rewind time and take it back. Once you've thrown insults, that person can't look at you the same. They just see you as showing your true colors. So we have to watch our tongue. We have to be careful what we say to people. I wish I made notes now because all the points are just flying out of my head. Another toxic trait, let me think. I'm sorry for any background noise, guys. It's literally, I should have made notes on this. Gaslighting. Another toxic trait that is a sign of men is when they gaslight. So if you, as a female, if you are talking to a man and you're addressing certain issues of the problems in the relationship or the problems in your friendship, or if you're you're talking to a family member and they're dismissing it, they're not acknowledging what you're saying, they're gaslighting it. That's toxic, because the whole point as a man or a female is to talk your problems out. If someone is coming to you with a problem, it's your job to think of how to solve it. You don't just gaslight it, because the problem never gets resolved. It just stays there. And sometimes when you leave problems, they become worse, because the longer you leave it, the more it grows. It becomes more of a bigger problem. So that's also toxic. I'm trying to think of other toxic traits. Signs of a toxic man. I find that when men have an addictive nature. So to me, anyone can be addicted to something, right? But I find that if a man is addicted to alcohol, um, smoking, drugs, girls, women, if they're addicted to sex, um, gaming as well can be like an addictive nature. I find that when you can I'm not saying that people that drink, smoke, sex or game, I'm not saying they're toxic, but it can become toxic. It's when they, overindulge in these things, and it's almost like if they don't get what they want, they become toxic for it, because they become addictive. It becomes a necessity. I can't say the word. A need. So they want to consume it, so they become toxic around people because they become miserable. They want their fix. They want the thing that feeds their addiction. So it can become toxic. And I find that sometimes they can become abusive, where they shout or yell. Yeah, that's another toxic trait. So when they shout and yell, um they just want what they want. Their needs have to be met. It becomes very toxic in that sense. So another toxic trait, like I just said, is shouting or yelling. So just show your power. You don't need to shout and yell. It's toxic. If someone's shouting and yelling at you, I understand that you're doing it back. But if someone's coming to you in, just to address something, and they're talking to you in a normal tone, you don't need to yell in their face. It's passive aggressive. So there's so many toxic traits in people. And I understand we're not perfect, but we have to control our anger. It's so important, because if you don't control your anger, people are going to perceive you in that toxic way. And I believe that mud sticks. When you have a bad name, it sticks, you know, because how are you going to get rid of that name? Because you're going to be constantly trying to prove yourself to people that you're no longer like that. And you will spend a lifetime trying to prove to those people that have seen you in that light, you're trying to prove to them that you're no longer like that. It's a waste of energy. So, guys, the toxic signs, we need to start thinking about ways that we can work on ourselves. I do understand that some people do bring out the worst in people, right? There's some people that can make you become toxic. They do things on purpose to trigger you, to push you, and then you react in a certain way, and then everybody thinks you're toxic. I do understand that. We have to be careful. We have to try not to react to people. We have to really get to know ourselves, get to know yourself in here. Who are you as a person? Because once you know who you are as a person, it makes it easier to navigate through your relationships, through your friendships, through your family, family connections, because if you're not aware who you are, people from the outside are going to be continuously controlling your behavior and making you react in a way that you shouldn't. So we have to think about this, guys. How are we showing up as toxic? How can we become better people? Because with toxicity is causing harm on others. Even if we don't see it, it's causing harm, because if you act a certain way, a child or a woman is going to start thinking that so many men behave that way. Obviously, you can't control how they think or feel, but they may begin to think that's just how it is. And then when they start thinking like that, they're going to start attracting more of it. and it starts manifesting. So we need to start thinking about this, guys. We need to start thinking about our behavior and thinking about ways we can be less toxic on this earth. It's so important because we don't want to shape people's beliefs into thinking that men are this way, because I believe there is good men out there. I've witnessed it. I speak to healthy men that are good men, and I love that because I understand that there's good and bad in every single person. Not all men are bad, not all women are bad. There's good in everybody. But I'm just trying to think if there's any more toxic traits. I think the main one is boundaries. I think that covers everything. Like anything that's toxic is usually when they're crossing boundaries, especially if you set a boundary. And I believe that everyone can change and grow, and we should keep working on ourselves. Um, but most definitely work on becoming a better man. That should be the goal. Become a better man, become a healthy man. You start attracting healthy people, healthy connections, healthy love. That should be the goal. Like, why would we want to live in chaos, misery? You know, let's not try and use our, let's not try, me, not me, try not to use your manly power to put fear into innocent people, people that are vulnerable. Let's support and love each other. Um, So take a moment to think about that, guys. Where in your life do you think you're showing up as toxic? And I know it's hard to think about that. People usually tell us, but we don't usually listen. And they usually tell us in an argument as well, or it can become an argument when they're telling you where you're going wrong. And sometimes it's hard to hear someone tell you your bad traits because you're going to become defensive. You're going to want to defend your name. But we should be striving to become great in this world, and we want to be a good example on earth. We want people to grow up and become like us. So, you know, if you feel like you display some of these behaviors, you can change. You can. It's not too late. You can change your ways. You can start from now. You can start by saying sorry to people as well and just showing them that you want to be better. Show through actions, because sometimes words are empty if there's no action backing it. So sometimes it's good to show action, you know, a sorry present as well. It's nice. Do something kind for someone to show that you're sorry. Help them out with a chore that they're struggling with. Sit down and talk to them, open up to them. I mean, that can be hard sometimes, but I'm going to leave this video here now, guys, because I've been going on too long about this topic. But I hope it does help somebody out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you to Ruben for coming onto my live. Thank you so much for the like. And thank you so much to anyone that does watch this video after I posted it. Take care, everyone, and stay blessed. Bye.